Hi everyone, I'm Paige from Newbie Dice, and in this video, I'm going to recap all my A Call to Arms Worldwide Season 5 games. All right, here we go. A Call to Arms Season 5. This is a Universal Battle Tournament. It is the first worldwide universal battle tournament, originally organized by Adam Padley, and it has several helpers in this iteration. I think Dan Miner, Tom Annis, and Elliot Morrish. There might be more. I might have missed them out. This happened in October 2020 to January 2021. Yeah, so I've been taking part in the past few Call to Arms since season 2. So season 5 came along. I was pretty excited to go for it, and we'll see how things go. One of the things that I was about to try out in this season was to play a more grindy list in Ratkin, because I'm more of an Alpha Strike player. If you watch most of my videos, I'm more used to playing Alpha Strike, and I wanted to challenge myself, test my mettle in this world stage, and play a grindier list. And at that point of time, where we also were going into our Hell Peace Rift local league that ran from November to January, almost the same time, where these are my actual Ratkin army models. A few things that change in this season. Firstly, is there is a round of map that everyone plays on the same map. Usually, most of the time we roll on the Epic Dwarf map, but Elliot does one map for every round, and there's a chosen scenario. There's a recommended points level that most people will play at, and there's the recommended chess clock timing, and there's chess clock implemented. So round one, let's see how it goes. I have a lot of rats. I bring shock troops in every size. Troops, 2 regiments, 3 hordes, Vermintide, Broodmother, Brood Enforcer, and Tangle and Scud. My opponent brings lots of Orcs and X and more X in regiments, 2 Fight Wagons, Drums, Roger, God Speakers, and Upgar the Mad. This is the guy that can cast spells that's powered up by Orcs nearby, and they also give, I think, life leech up to, I don't know up to how much, but quite a lot for each successful casting of the Bane Chant. So firstly, if you notice the map immediately, you'll see that he's on the left, I'm on the right. Now my strategy was to take these 3 tokens on the right, because there's 7 VP on the board for plunder. So I was hoping to get this 3 on the right. That means I would get the 4 required to win. So even if I lose, so I'll get this 3. Even if I get this 2, is 3 VP for him and 4 for me. One thing to take note, because he outdropped me by 1. So I have to drop my final drop, which is this shock troop. Let me erase everything. This shock troop, this drop is number 13, before he drops his last Orc regiment, which is also number 13. So previously I put this Vermintide to try to snatch all these tokens, these loot tokens. But I was afraid that he might drop this final Orc regiment somewhere here to contest the 2 tokens. So I need something strong to be able to fight off, because you know he can just collect this 1 token and he'll still win the game easily. So that's why I had to put this shock troops all the way on the right, which was very far out from the rest of the battle. So one thing that surprised me immediately, because I'm so used to playing an Alpha Strike and fast list, I have this, let me just rewind that. I have this sprinkling of units here. Let me draw also on the map. The map is pretty much cut down in this manner, right? Because there's a large blocking terrain, a forest, and a blocking terrain on my side. So the map is pretty much split this way. Yeah. So I was ready to let him win this too, but I put some forces here to, you know, just stall time, you know, dance with him a little bit back and forth, especially having Scud here with that 20-inch threat range to try to keep him back as long as I can and then fly away, right? So the key thing about central loot scenarios like loot and plunder is, you know, the loot token is exactly in the middle of the board, and the base of the objective, there's a base size. So the opponent can pick up the token just by touching it here, and he'll be out of 12 inches from the rest of my army. And I can't charge. Everything in my army is speed 6 except Scud, right? So the only thing that can charge in is Scud, which is by himself, especially in the forest, not going to kill anything. So that's exactly what the opponent did. He moved up. He won the first turn. He picked up this token, and I'm like, oh dear, I can't. If he ends with that token, he's gonna win the game because I know that I'm gonna lose this too. Okay, the only thing that can charge in is Scud, which is not gonna kill a fight wagon or in the charge, and he's gonna have front and flanked by Orcs left and right. He's gonna die pretty soon. So I ended up, trying to reposition myself, but the game was pretty much lost at this point because what he did was he dropped the token of the fight wagon and charged his fight wagon outright, and then the back unit picks up the token, and then it just keeps passing throughout the game. And if I just slowly scroll through, you can see this left on right action. This is his left, and this is my right. Okay, and you can see that the token is starting to be passed this way, right? It's now over here. Let me switch back to the pointer. Okay, and then it just, I didn't have all the pictures, but you can see that from here, and then to the end of the game, the tokens ended up here because he just kept passing the tokens back. And I just call it the daisy chain. And that's how I lost the game. He held 3 tokens and I held 2 over here. Okay, so let's look at learning points. Plunder, like I said, 7 VPs on the board. It's usually a good idea to, aim for the 4 that you want to win. Because if you spread your army out thin, right, you're most likely going to lose on the parts that the opponent is going to concentrate his force on. And he might sweep over, Okay, and you use as little points as possible to delay the remaining 3 VP. So look out that central token, the opponent with that fight wagon, speed 7 and Pathfinder much little shy of 12 inches because of the forest. He can go into it and pick it up, and then I had trouble taking it back. So this is the daisy chain. I'm going to show you on this slides over here to show you how it goes. So for example, he has this unit like this. I'm going to pull this back. So he has this unit like this. The enemy is down here. Let me zoom this in. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, close that. So he's going to drop his token here as he charges into the enemy, and then the back unit picks it up, right? Then what if I charged him? So let's say I charged him. He took some wounds, 8 wounds over here. Then what? He can multi-charge with the 2 units, even from the front. He's going to drop his token as he slides in that multi-charge. And then this second unit will come in, and this second unit will pick up the token. And then he just does this on repeat, right? So eventually I kill this unit, and then my unit is now here. And then he has another unit behind, and then he does the same thing. He's going to drop the token, slide, and like this. And especially when all my forces are on the right, I couldn't punch that left side unit very effectively. And that's how I lost the game. So that's it. Let's move on to the next one, round 2. The maps gradually gets more and more interesting as we go along, which is a good training exercise. I must admit, it's been tough for me to keep up with the interesting maps because I used to play epic dwarf maps. So this has this huge building here blocking terrain once again, this huge piece of field with an obstacle thrown in the middle for good measure. Now I don't have the lists. I couldn't find where our lists were, but I was basically fighting a very shooty elf lists. Let me guide you with my laser pointer. These red guys are Dragon Rider regiments. This troop of infantry, if I'm not wrong, are archer infantries, right? And then the regiment are Glade Stalker regiments. And then there's a bolt thrower here. This is a king with mounted king with the stride, what's that? The boots of scouts. I forgot what's it called, but it does the scouts, right? And then Glade Stalkers, 2 wizards mounted, Stormwind Cavalry, and archers. So my units are pretty clear on the board what they are, right? So you can see the regiments going up. So definitely they're the Glade Stalkers because they have scout. So I took the first turn. This scenario is dominate. You can see the king is also over here. So first thing that happened was I allowed this king, because it's height 3, my infantry are all height 2, and the Vermintide height 1. This king is actually able to see this brute at the back. And then it started to charge in. And throughout the whole game, it started to mess with my backlines, charging all my support pieces, shutting down bench, drain life, bench hunt, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's one of the first mistakes I made. Secondly, I think I played the Scud wrongly. Okay, because this watch out for blocking terrains. They are really good at blocking off certain charges. So you gotta learn how to make use of that. So what I should have done with my Scud, this is back to the scouting phase. I should have just moved here and face this way, right? So I'm here, I can't be charged that in the flank, and I'm facing down this whole side of his army. So that's what I should have done. So instead, I just danced forwards. Of course, being height 6, none of these units can give him cover. So I just flew him in front and hit my support pieces behind instead. So guess what? He's going to shoot at it. But before that, over on the right side, you can see my tunnel runners. One of them moved up in cover in the forest because he has Pathfinder. While the other one, it crosses the obstacle, but it's just out in the open. No cover at all. So he took advantage of that. On his turn, let's look at the left side first. A lot of shooting. Oh yeah, this horde over here, it's a horde of sea guards. So they have bows as well. So all the shooting over here dealt 6 damage to Scud, which is a lot of damage. Right, put me in a little bit of a panic mode. So archers, Gladestalker, Sea Guard, and the boat thrower dealt 6 damage. Over here, these tunnel runners were in charge range of the Stormwind cavalry. So the Stormwind managed to charge in, and guess what? The rest of his shooting went into the tunnel runners without cover, and it got wavered with 9 damage. So that hurts. Some damage went in the center on the Vermintide and wavered that as well. So over here, because this top of 2, because my tunnel runners over here got wavered, it couldn't support and kill off this Stormwind cavalry. So my tangle went into the flank instead. It started behind. It can do this 90-degree turn, is nimble. Charge the flank. I think I did the math, and it's probably more damaging than a bench hunt. That's why I did that. But only dealt 5 damage. So my 2 hordes of shock troops trundle forwards, and the second one, because it's touching the terrain, is getting ready for a Pathfinder. Firstly, because it touched the terrain, it could only move 6 inches forward. It couldn't go on the double march, right? Maybe I should have went on the double, but I think if I go any further, I would risk especially if I go forward straight, right? I would risk a flank charge from this unit of Gladestalkers, which are nothing to sneeze at in melee. But I don't know, because I popped the plague pot, so the front charge would not be very effective anyway. But so instead of marching forwards more and avoiding the field, I turn and move forward. So I can only move forward 6 inches because I towed into the field. Yeah, and the problem here is I'm just barely within 12 inches of the enemy, which allows him to back off. So my opponent did a few really smart things here. The first one is, you see this Ratkin Rider horde over here. You just hide behind the building, staring at the whole central of the board. So that pretty much protected all his units here. My Scud couldn't charge, other than the troop of archers, which is not a valuable target. He couldn't charge the regiment or the horde and confidently take them out, and then it would just get flanked by the Drakon and die. So that's a very good placement over here, protecting the whole all these units. What else? The second thing was his horde of Sea Guard over here could just move back and be out of 12-inch threat range, buying him another turn of shooting. The last thing would be that this troop of archers is very nicely placed on this hill over here, because what it's gonna do next, and I'm gonna forward. Notice how he moved forward in front of the hill to block up these shock troops. Now, why is this a fantastic move? Because I would have to kill these archers and my horde would be here, right? and it's behind the hill. We couldn't see. He couldn't see over at this horde of his infantry, which is the one that I want to kill. And so, and then I'm also risking getting charged by both these units on both sides. So this is a fantastic placement from him, forcing me to be in this sandwiched position, as well as being behind the hill, not being able to see much. So of course, you can see by this drawing, I am able to see these Glade Stalkers on the right, but of course, he easily fixed that problem. Before that, let's talk about other stuff. My Scud got wavered by more shooting. So Scud is just flailing around there while the support pieces are just not doing anything really helpful right now. Over here on the right side, the Tunnel Runners with Sharpness, very expensive unit, got wavered again, and soon it's going to go down. So that is pretty sad. My Brute Mother got charged by the King, and that shuts down the Drain Life. Yeah, this Tunnel Runners fighting the Stormwind got wavered, but no worries there because Tangle gives Fury. So yeah, I managed to take out, this is top of 3, I managed to take out Stormwind. These guys just flail around. So my shock troops have to face somewhat keeping both units in the front, I think, something like that. I think both my units are still in the front. So that's why I had to stay here. And the problem is I couldn't charge the Horde next turn because of the hill blocking my line of sight. Not sure what else happened. So more dancing around if I'm to show. So he just kept tossing things in front of my shock troops to delay as he continued to shoot. And if I just slowly move edge towards the end here, my 2 Tunnel Runners are dead. I still got plenty of stuff. He eventually, because of all that delay he did to the shock troops. Wow, look at this. This one charged this unit and killed it with the King support. So fantastic. And so as we move closer and closer to the end, yeah, Scud at least managed to charge and kill off 1 troop of archers, which is pretty pathetic, and then got killed off by 1 regiment of Dracons, followed by Glade Stalkers together. Forwarding to the end, at the top of 5, things are still looking not too bad for me because I have a lot of scoring characters, right? They're all worth 1 point, 1 unit strength each. But I'm slowly and surely going down with all these Glade Stalkers. I missed a few pictures, but let me just slowly forward to the end. And this is the end where I only have 1 Horde and 1 Brute Mother that is 4, 5 unit strength, while he has 1 Horde and 1 Glade Stalkers, which is worth 2, so that is 6 unit strength. And I lost the second round. Pretty close game still, and I don't get to play against shooting a lot, so I really appreciate this game. And yeah, my opponent played very well, I felt. So as a shooting army, you want to delay the opponent as long as possible with these smartly placed units and positioning. You know, first one, the Sea Guard back up, so that bought him 1 more turn of not being charged at. Now chaff the enemies at their worst positions, like how the archer troop blocked my shock troops there, unable to charge anything from behind the hill, walked up the hill and got charged to death. Terrains to help you block line of sight, you know, backing out, or you can tow into a forest and then back out of it so that people can't see you, stuff like that. Well-placed Dracon Riders behind the building as well. Yeah, so the Dracon Riders are there to protect your shooters, right? And then, yeah, if you fight shooting, you just move everything up, right? If you keep things back and you're just layering it for the opponent, you're just here, take some, while the rest still hang back. So no, just move everything out in his face so that he can't kill everything at one go. Okay. Yeah, be careful of that. Elven King really wrecked face in that game, right? Yeah, if you enjoyed having that circle for dominate in the map, so you can search UB maps, search maps. You know, you usually search for what's that, epic dwarf maps on in the map section. So you search for this word dominate and the circle will appear. You load that up on top of your terrain. You will just load an extra circle to place in for dominate. Round 3, here we go. So let's see. I'm fighting a dwarf this time, and this dwarf has lots of infantry in all flavors: ironclad, iron guards, shield breakers, berserkers, bulwarkers, sprinkling of shooting with sharpshooters, cannons, two dwarf on large beasts, and some support pieces. There's a steel juggernaut as well. So quite a lot of defense 6 actually, and my list only has one source of enchant, which is the Tangle. Because this is a slightly smaller list, 2,200 if I'm not wrong, that's the list size. So yep, I couldn't fit the second unit of tunnel runners, and then so I put the mutant rat fiend instead. I think part of the reason for choosing the mutant rat fiend is also to have that speed 7, and not that it matters in this map, right? But also to have that rally, because I like to have quite a lot of rally in my rat list, so that I can deploy in 2 or 3 areas effectively with, or hopefully rally 2 everywhere. I moved up aggressively. The scenario is raised, and let me rewind back to the deployment. So if you notice, right, this is the half of the map. The thing about raise is there's always, because of the 12-inch distance from the tokens, especially the middle one, there's always 2 on one side of the map and 1 on the other side. Okay. So the opponent might be on the opposite, but in this case, all our 2s are on the same side, the left side, while the right side only has 1. So that made the left side very important, and you can see I'm very stacked heavily on the left side. Both of us are very light on the right side, but he has 2 units on the right while I only have 1. So he's 1 up me on that. So with that, I fully expect to lose the right side unless he made a mistake. And I'm just seeing if I can delay those 2 units to be out of the game for as long as possible. I moved everything up, threatening that 2 tokens on the left. He moved and he screened his stuff. And on the next turn, and let's see. Okay, on the next turn, I charged in on the left. So I double charged the berserkers because they have dash 13 nerve, if I'm not wrong. So you need more punch to kill it off. And the Mastiff Pack died easily to 1 Mutant Rat Fiend. If you look at the units, let's rewind. This red ones are berserkers. This one is Mastiff. Okay, this square one is the Dwarf King on Large Beast. This unit with the gray stuff is Shield Breakers. This unit is Bulwarkers. This is Sharpshooters. Cannons. That is a Steel Juggernaut. This is a Mastiff. This is, if I'm not wrong, Ironclad. And then this is Ironclad as well. Oh, hang on, let me rephrase that. I think these are the defense 6 guys. This is the defense 6 guys. Iron Guard, this is the Ironclad, the blue ones. So these are Shield Breakers and this is Iron Guard. Yep, the Iron Guard is out on the flank. Right, the stars represent the Mastiffs, if I'm not wrong. So punching in, let's see what happened next. Firstly, his shooting took out my Brood Mother. There's a Brood Mother here, right? It shot it off. Dead, right? Next thing on the left side, let's look at the left side. He double charged the regiment of shock troops. So the shock troops died, but that means my Scud is not disordered. That's a important thing to take note of. Wow. Oh yes, the tunnel runners were wavered. Look at that, wavered. That's why my tunnel runners had to stay back 1 round. Oh my goodness. So let's sorry, this is the bottom of 1, right? He shot it and wavered it. So I charged in top of 2. He killed off the shock troops. This is bottom of 2. He dealt lots of damage to this mutant rat fiend as well, because workers in front hindered what do you call this, juggernaut from the back. So not expecting to take so much, but what do you know? Okay, but good news is at least I burned this token on the left, and this token is only guarded by like 1 Mastiff Pack. So what do I do? Top of 3, I started to punch things in. 1 brute over here blocking the entire horde, and I think this unit ended up holding it for more than 1 turn, which was amazing. So tunnel runners went in, hindered into this shield breakers and didn't kill it, which is quite disappointing. This what do you call this? Mutant Ratkin turned around, hit the Juggernaut, didn't kill it. It's gonna eat the flank from the Bullwalkers. My Scud flew around, so now it started to threaten the middle, which is awesome. And over here on the right, let's see, this shock troop horde charged into the Dwarf King, defense 6, hindered so by only that 1 damage. So how sad was that? So let's forward here. And this is a key moment here that his horde only managed to waver the brute over here, and that means it's gonna eat a flank from Scud that is gonna deal it a lot of damage. And so over here on the left, the tunnel runners are down. The mutant Ratkin is down. So suddenly the left side that I thought I'll be winning, I'm starting to lose it already. Okay. So what happened here? I charged in and I took, so Scud charged in. I took this other token because of one Vermintide and Tangle outscoring him on the unit strength. And the right side here, you know, I need to kill off that. Dwarf King soon, right? Because if you look at here, the shield breakers are coming in. I'm chaffing it 1 round with the Vermintide. And so expectedly, these 2 units starting to get free reign, get killed off my shock troops. Over here, I'm starting to lose the left side. And one thing, I rewind to the top of 4. One thing I didn't, should have done is to stand in front of the Dwarf King so that it'll take him longer to maneuver around the Brood Mother to start getting the tokens. Okay, that would be the smarter thing to do. At the end of this game, just this game in particular, it didn't matter because he was able to pick up the tokens with 1 turn to spare. So he picked up this token on 4 and he picked up this token on 5 for raise. Okay, lots of grinding back and forth. So I missed the bottom of 5 shot, but he basically stood here to take this token. And then I started to charge him. If I forward to the very end, he burned all 3 tokens. So he burned the third one on the right expectedly. He got these 2 because of the Dwarf King. And I got 2. And the center token that cannot be burned because of Scud standing there. And the horde, and I just managed to kill the dwarf regiment, so I didn't have enough unit strength to burn the last one. I had what do you call this, the brute enforcer that survived the horde here, but eventually got shot off before it managed to run over to get that last token. So this ended up in a draw, very bloody draw. Okay, so things to take note of. While really prioritize grounding those flyers in front of you, I'm talking about Scud. If not, he will fly to your back lines. Raise, you know, maybe I should block that dwarf on large beast. And my opponent did a very well approach of layering his forces with chaff in front, following up with hammers behind. Round 4. So going to round 4, when this map was released, there's these 2 fences that are blocking terrain, so units can't walk past this. So it really blocked off this half of this 1/3 of the map. So at that point, I was like, oh, I'm throwing in the tower. I'm not going to play my rats anymore. This thing is too difficult for my tunnel runners and shock troop hordes to maneuver around. So I went back to my safety net, which is the Order of the Green Lady. Now, bear in mind, I've been practicing a lot of Ratkin at this point for both Universal Battle and my live local Hell Peace Rift campaign at this point. So I'm coming back a little bit rusty. This is a 2,500, so get to be a bit more creative with the lists. I have 3 beasts of nature. And one important thing is I was trying out the Greater Earth Elemental, which I kind of like, but even up to 2,300 points, I just can't seem to fit it in because although the Green Lady really lacks the unlocks to fit him in. Because the other option would be the Earth Elemental Horde, which doesn't take up a slot and they unlock 2 unlocks as well. So that's the difference. But Greater Earth Elemental, I love it because his speed 6 is just very hard to fit in all of the Green Lady lists, even up to 2,300 points. So my opponent is playing Ogres, pretty standard, but he has a few flavors of Ogres: Warriors, Hunters, Berserker Braves, and Siege Breakers, sprinkling of Goblins and Warlocks, and some. Oh, he has Grokagamok, which I don't know which one is. Is it on this map on hindsight? But what map is this? Loot. So you grab the center tokens, right? And I have 2 Beasts of Nature on the left. So these Beasts of Nature, people talk about deploying your 20 inch 10 speed 10 units on the 1/3 line. So you can see that I'm just going to draw this out. Roughly 1/3, and the Forsaken, Order of the Forsaken is roughly 1/3 in. Why 1/3? Because that 20 inch threat range, let me draw this out. Right, that 20 inch threat range, you can threaten a huge part of the board by deploying yourself on that 1/3. So if you look at my Piece of Nature, right, his whole left side threat range, all this is all wasted because it's the end of the board. But I like the Beast of Nature to do flanking maneuvers, so that's why I always have them on the flanks, and the Order of Forsaken usually on that 1/3 line. Okay, let's see what happened here. I moved up aggressively, threatening to pick up those tokens. What happened on the right, I do have mobile units here because they can eventually cross this fence, and the other 2 can be very mobile, of course. The unicorn here lightning bolted and wavered this goblin scouts. Not too difficult to waver, but still 3 wounds on lightning bolts. 5 is still always a treat. So in his response, he made one very important mistake, which was he reformed these Goblin Scouts. Now, Goblin Scouts threaten 20 inches. So if I rewind one picture, I have purposely, let's see, I've kept these 2 units because they threat 20 also out of 20 inches of these goblins. But because when he reformed, he angled it this way. And because of this angle here, now it is less than 20 inch, which allowed me to charge. So let's rewind that. Sorry, let's forward that. So notice how he re-angled these goblins, scouts. And because of that, my Beast of Nature could charge in, which was quite a... sometimes you do miss out on this, but quite an important mistake there. Notice how he screened all his units. And when I'm facing enemies that kind of screens themselves up, I just think of the best way to punch the screen while not succumbing to the hammer units waiting behind. Okay, so yeah, I punched off the 2 screens on the left, and yep, awaiting the charge. Hopefully this horde won't kill off this Order of Redemption, and of course the horde will not kill off this horde of infantry because they do have 20 plus nerve. The center is still a little bit of a face off. So, and you can see on the right side, the beast has killed and turned to face the entire side, which puts the pressure on the opponent. And yeah, so he charged first. Notice here, the center, he charged first. And good thing is I have the Greater Earth Elemental to chaff up the Siege Breakers, followed by, I sent in the Forsaken Knights, but in the end, I still managed to grind it out. Let's just forward slowly to the end. Yeah, my Forsaken Knights punched clip the side of the Siege Breakers, but because I didn't kill it, he's gonna counter punch in the flank. But I dealt 7 damage to it, which I'm happy about, so that my remaining forces can eventually take it out. So let's forward a few slides as we slowly come to this gradual ending. And here, so managed to take out the enemy force gradually by pinching in from the sides. Notice how the 3 Beasts of Natures all survived. So he had this one chance. Let me just rewind here. He had this one chance when I punched his screen off and wavered this unit. I think this whatever this horde is able to charge the flank of this beast of nature. But because I think he wanted to deal the pain, inflict the pain onto the cavalry, right? So I was eventually able to win that out. So win the chaff trade. When you trade off your chaff, you must be sure that whatever you have after that is gonna kill their units, not just, you know, have a chance to kill. So no, you gotta really, if you give up your chaff, you must be ready to kill. Okay, there are a lot of traffic jams that prevent a lot of multi charges. And yeah, take those flank charges when it's presented to you. Sometimes you find that, oh, maybe I can punch these 2 units. But maybe it's better if you take that 1 guarantee kill instead of 2 maybes. So of course, these are all on hindsight. So, but he did contribute damage to kill off the Order of Redemption in the end. So yeah, that goblin unit pivoting into threat range, that gotta be aware of that. Sometimes you move forward. Sometimes you measure, I want to be 10-inch out. So let me just draw that. You move your, let's see, erase. Oops. You move your unit forward. Then you're like, okay, I'm out of 10-inch from the enemy. And then you do that 90-inch pivot, right? And then you tilt yourself. And then because you tilt yourself, right, you're now within threat range of the enemy. So always check your measurements also after pivoting at the end of your movement, right? From being out of threat range, you pivot, now your corner is sticking forward that 1 inch more, and now you're in threat range. So be careful of that. Round 5, 1,800 points. This is a very interesting map and points level. I don't think my list works very well at a lower points level, but I just wanted to play my usual style of lists. So I did a scaled down versions. I used man-at-arm retainer regiments to help boost up the unit strength. But on hindsight, I don't really like the regiments because it's too easy for them to die to 1 hit. Yeah, so shuffled the units around. I give my unicorn wings so that it has unit strength. My opponent has lots of defense 6, 4 regiments of Iron Guard, Ironclad, Rangers, and Sharpshooters for shooting, Mastiff packs. Some of them have throwing Mastiffs on them, which is important later on. Dwarf Lord with wings, Standard Bearer. So in this deployment, this big piece over here is the blocking terrain. So you can see that I'm going to sneak my Pegasus, this is a unicorn. So it's going to sneak around this left corner and start to punch his his shooting units, while the most of my force is on the right side, hoping to punch through the right side, swing to the center. But all these regiments you see here, they're all the defense 6 guys. So I moved up, and this is as far as my army could go without okay, this unit has Pathfinder, but the water elemental is shambling, and this infantry has no Pathfinder, so it stopped outside the forest. So what happened next? First mistake I made was this. Let me draw this line over here. My cavalry position itself such that the king is on the flank. So this is its center point. It's on the flank of my cavalry. Why did I do that? So because even if it charged me in the flank, although I would be disordered if I got wounded, I'm still able to charge stuff in front of me. So I purposely revealed my flank to the unit so that even if it charged me, I'm still able to charge out. But what's the problem here is, as an individual, he can turn 90 degrees before any direction before he starts. So by turning, he could bring his center point to my front. And that's exactly what he did so that he could charge my front. I actually saw this as I was moving up, and I pivoted my my cavalry a little bit more, but I didn't double check it. So it ended up this way, so he could still charge my front. So let's see what happens in the next picture. So you can see the king charging the front of the Order of the Brotherhood. Over here on the left, there's a light amount of shooting, shooters and rangers shooting it with cover, because this thing gives cover to the unicorn on the left side, and 2 damage, and rolled a lucky 10 or 11 to waver it. So ouch, right? The center, some mastiffs being thrown, dealt 5 damage to the Order of Redemption. Ouch, once again. And the right side, all the mastiffs going in is 7 damage. Ouch, once again. Now this unit is not here. And those mastiffs put me in panic mode because the Order of Redemption are my most expensive and powerful units, right? And suddenly they took so much damage, I was fearing that they would die before they even make contact. But the thing is, throwing mastiffs, they are one use only. After this, he only has a shooter, sharpshooter. Where's the sharpshooter? Let's see. A sharpshooter in the middle, and a ranger on the left, and a ranger on the right. So he doesn't have much shooting after this. So I should have played it slow and not charged in, especially into his defense 6 bricks. But hey, I went into it, which was a huge mistake. And I think a little bit of that rust is showing because I haven't been playing Alpha Strike lists for a while. So I went in, which is a huge mistake. Part of the mistake was also as I calculated my combat results based on the enemies being defense 5, totally forgetting it was defense 6 as well. And as I was about to commit after doing some measurements and calculations, I realized it was defense 5. I was like, oh dear. Well, this is also a time game. So I was like, I don't want to rethink my strategy. You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about this strategy. I'm just going to go for it. And so this, lo and behold, this is what happened. There's a few things to take note. Let's start with the left side. So my unicorn is still hopeful of, you know, charging the shooting guys and killing them off. So I just stayed there because I stay there, I have cover, and I can still charge them next round. The center, he chaffed me up with a mastiff pack. My redemption knights took it off. Okay, my 2 units charged the king and still unable to kill it. No matter, I charged the Pegasus in to block the horde for 1 round so that my redemption knights can go in the next round, right? Everything's still looking pretty good at this point. And guess what? My Forsaken Knights charged this Mastiff pack, and I wrote Snake Eyes, not killing this Mastiff pack, which is huge because not only is my Forsaken Knights gonna eat flank charges, this Mastiff pack is another piece of chaff that can block up my Redemption Knights, which is what's gonna happen next. Yeah, these 2 units on the right side, the Beast and the Knights, punched into these defense 6 brick and did not kill it. My water elementals and this man-at-arms just shuffle on behind, which are not going to be very effective in combat later on. So guess what? The Mastiff pack chefed me up for 1 more round, dealing huge amounts of damage in the process, and the game is pretty much over at this point. Take note that look at my just previous round, my unicorn with 2 wounds just got shot off again with nice damage or nerf rolls, whatever it is. 2 rounds of shooting from these things and they killed off my unicorn. So game was pretty much over at this point. If I just followed to the end, I was defeated thoroughly. So learning points for this. So beware of that individuals being able to get a free pivot and charge you in a different arc. Alpha Strike armies, it's usually not a good idea to charge on turn 2 because you're going to move out on turn 1 and they are going to position themselves as best as possible to receive a charge on turn 2. So when you charge on turn 2, you're just playing into their defense strategy. But if you shuffle along some more, you might be able to force him to, because they're not as mobile and nimble as you, as they try to reposition themselves, they're bound to be less precise, less, less maneuverable as you, and are able to expose some weaknesses. Especially if I rewind back, just rewind here. So at this picture, my Beast of Nature on the right could actually fly 20 or fly 10 and position, I think fly 20, and start to stare at the flank of his, the rear of his entire army. And that would have made a big difference. And yeah, the Mastiff pack, the rust, so on and so forth, sort of make me do a charge prematurely, and everything just went down from there. Let me just forward back to here. Yeah, so if I reposition, would I have superior charges, right? And what's the consequence of not charging turn 2? Because his Mastiffs are all gone. The rest of his shooting, I just need to weather it. In fact, my Order of Redemption could actually back out, and I can send my water elementals forward to screen And yeah, and the Redemption Knights have regen, and I could just play it slow. So yeah, defense 6 bricks, never take them head on. Always try to flank and rear charge them. My round 6, this map is pretty interesting with one gigantic hill on the right. The hill in the middle has this blocking terrain on top of it as well. I did not take much pictures of this. My opponent's playing, I got the wrong picture. This is the old, the previous rounds. My opponent is playing Undead, right? With lots of whites and 2 Soul River infantries. So the map started out like this. I do have this Beast of Nature on the right side, which could do a flanking maneuver, but because it's out on its own, it couldn't take out anything on its own, even with a flank charge. So I realized that as I flew behind, I was like, oh, even if I flank any of these units, I'm not going to take it off. And so I proceeded to fly some more. And by that time, this white over here has turned around and faced this way. So it kind of forced my hand. I needed to charge after that. Unfortunately, I didn't have any pictures after this because my laptop died and I was trying to play this game with my iPad. So it's difficult enough alone to play, let alone, you know, I was thinking about the game most of the time. This game started off really strong for me. I moved up, the opponent exposed the flank. I charged my Pegasus Knight in, the Forsaken Knights. And guess what? Snake Eyes again for the 2 rounds in a row. My Pegasus Knights charged in and rolled Snake Eyes, and it died. Okay, and nonetheless, I was still in a pretty good position. I charged. Next round, I did a lot of charges again, and I rolled another Snake Eyes somewhere else, and I rolled a 3 as well when I needed a 4. So the combination of those nerf rolls really just did me in. I had a chance where I could still draw the game, but near the end, I moved my Naiad Heart Piercers in a way that the previous round, I could have moved it in a way that it could go for either of these 2 tokens. But instead, I just moved them, you know, I moved them without thinking of them much. Only in the final round, I realized, oh, I should have, you know, I could have go for this token and my flyer go for the other token. I could still draw the game. And yeah, I should have placed my Naiad and Snares with options. So one thing I remember from this game is I haven't been playing Undead for a while before this, and I was reminded once again how strong Soul River infantry is, especially on the offense department. In this game, this stat line defense 5, 15, 17 is very important because a lot of hammers have this stat line. Even the Soul River infantry themselves have this stat lines. So does the Ogres, except the Siege Breakers are defense 6, of course, from the front. So being able to kill this profile in one charge is very important. And Soul River infantry can do it. You know, they average 11.1 wounds. So if they do 11 wounds, they needed 6 to kill. If they do 12 wounds, they just need 5 to kill. Of course, the opponent might have Inspire. So especially with Bane Chan, they're very likely to just take you out straight away, right? Or if they multi-charge you, even with a Chaff, as long as the Chaff deal 1 or 2 damage, then suddenly the math swings heavily in their favor. Or, you know, if they done some chip damage to you, maybe the Chaff charged you the previous turn, or they have some shooting from Lightning Bolt or this catapults, or even more commonly Drain Life. You know, that Drain Life just contributing 1 more damage means the Soul River infantry is that much more likely to kill you, right? So dealing with Soul infantry, you need to chaff them first thing, and then you have to kill them in one go. Because if you don't kill them in one go, and most of them come with a mitigation item, they're gonna charge you back, they're gonna kill you, your hammer fails to kill them, they're gonna kill you, and they're gonna life leech 2 wounds back, right? And then it'll take you a while to send some forces to deal with the Soul River infantry again. And in the meantime, every turn is not killed, it's gonna charge something and heal 2 wounds back, right? You're gonna delay him by sending 1 chaff, he eats it up, heals 2 more wounds, and then by the time your hammer comes around, he chaff you up, he charge you, and he's gonna heal another 2 more wounds. So that's how the Soul River nightmare begins, right? So one thing for myself, always position my units, especially the non-mobile ones, with options to grab multiple objectives. So yeah, that's my 6 rounds of Call to Arms. Admittedly, I did very poorly this time around. 1 win, 1 draw, and 4 losses. 92nd out of 121 people. And in fact, some of the last few places are people who didn't play through all 6 rounds. So yeah, pretty devastating results for myself. And one thing I learned from this is to practice more counter punch lists. I'm too dependent on Alpha Strike playstyle, which is my crutch. So after this, I really want to practice a little bit more, but we'll see how it goes. I'm still back to Order the Green Lady. I might be having a local tournament happening soon. And yeah, we'll see how things goes. I will be maybe playing my Ratkin again, or I'll be playing a Kingdoms of Men lists as I'm building a real Kingdoms of Men army. So one thing that also opened my eyes is those central loot tokens that loot and plunder with speed 6 and below units, unable to charge the opponent who picks it up top of 1. Is that a problem? I'm not sure. And fast list first in race, is that a problem? I'm not sure. My opponent in race do have the Dwarf Kings on large beasts, speed 7 nimble to pick up those tokens. Yeah, so I'm still pretty glad to have played in this tournament because it exposed me to different list builds. Most of the lists I fight with are pretty, the default is that combined arms, right? Quite good melee with a sprinkling of shooting. So I was able to fight some grind lists and shooting lists. Sorry, coughed a little bit back there. So let's see what's next. Yeah, in this call to arms, I encourage 2 of our local players to play. Unfortunately, they don't play on UB very often, so they keep getting, this UB. It takes a while to orientate yourself to seeing the units in UB. Eyeballing distances, threat ranges, and so on. Although there are the rings, right? But just sometimes you didn't expect. Oh, you mean this? It's actually 40 inches away. You're like, oh, this is less than 20 inches. Never even realized that. So that's one of our players faced. He moved his siege breakers up and exposed the flank to a speed 20 flying unit. And it's like, oh, I just couldn't tell the distances. I mean, you could have clicked and see the rings, but even that takes getting used to. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have done that in real life. I wouldn't have just exposed the flank of my siege breakers for nothing. Yep. So if you'd like to play UB, I mean, it's a great tool to play internationally, but you do have to get over these hurdles and challenges. With that, this is my recap of my Call to Arms Season 5. I thought that I'll do this because I did cover all my previous seasons 2, 3, and 4. You can find the videos in my channel archives. And yeah, I just wanted to cover this briefly. Even though I did pretty badly, I think there's still stuff to be learned. And going forward, this channel, be on the lookout for new and interesting content. I've done my first podcast. We'll be releasing the second one very soon. Hopefully battle reports coverage, especially the live games, will be more interesting. I'm hoping to record it differently. The first time it failed, the camera was too shaky. And yeah, more interesting things coming to you. So do like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. See you.